When I got here, it was just creeping Charlie.
Cities are constructed of past, present, and future.
But then I started planting trees.
There is an old way.
Corporate landscapes, giant lawns. No reason for that.
And a new way.
The whole yard there is covered with columbine. I don't have to mow it. I just love it.
There are ecologically better ways to do this.
A time to learn from the past.
They could be meadows, they could be forested, they could do a whole lot better.
A time to carry on as before.
It's kind of a mindset change.
And a time to decide the future.
So in addition to trees as green elements of the urban environment, there's all the other kinds of vegetation. And of course in cities and in the suburbs around the cities, there's large areas of lawns, much of which historically have been monocultures with very few species, often with lots of herbicides, pesticides, fertilizers. There are ecologically better ways to do this that support diversity, biodiversity.
The old way treats plants as if they're just decorations. Every landscape needs to sequester carbon. Plants do that. Every landscape needs to support a viable food web. The right plants do that. The wrong plants don't. Every landscape has to support pollinators, and every landscape has to manage the watershed. We've got 44 million acres of lawn in this country, and lawn doesn't do any of those four things.
And that was true before climate crisis made things urgent.
But we can expect the atmosphere to keep warming, and it's these heat events make the atmosphere drier. A warmer atmosphere is a drier atmosphere, so there's more stress on vegetation and trees, and this is especially true in urban environments.
Old ethic versus new ethic. Mowed lawn versus new Green Deal. Climate crisis versus the future. Is the way we plan communities sustainable?
Is the old way of landscaping sustainable? Absolutely not. We are in a biodiversity crisis right now. We've lost 3 billion breeding birds in this country, and one of the reasons is taking away their food. Most birds are rearing their young on insects, and there are no insects in our typical landscape, or very few. Humans depend on functioning ecosystems. Functioning ecosystems function a whole lot better when they've got a lot of species in them. And when you build landscapes that support very few species, you don't get very many ecosystem services. And when we do that all over the world, that is not sustainable.
Green infrastructure is more than just the pretty face of community. It's the foundation for quality of life, because as the birds and the bees and the trees go, so do we.
Yes, because insects are the little things that run the world. E.O. Wilson told us that in 1987. If you lose your pollinators, for example, you lose 90% of the flowering plants that are out there. And if that happens, the food webs that support our vertebrate animals collapse. And all we'd have is bacteria and fungi. So he says the earth would rot, and humans wouldn't survive any of that. It's not just we're going to miss the animals. They're the ones keeping us alive on this planet. Not supporting our pollinators, not supporting viable food webs. That's not an option. Huge problem.
Monocultural lawn that our fathers mowed and watered is no longer best practice because diversity is survival. Scientifically, that's always been true. And culturally, we're learning that the hard way.
There are advantages to having more diverse species of populations of trees, as well as in our other vegetation types in our lawns. For instance, there are these exotic insects and diseases coming in. Big problem in the eastern US. As I was growing up, it was Dutch elm disease. Emerald ash borer is another ongoing example of this kind of thing. Whether it's the lawns as sort of like prairies, or whether it's the urban forests, if it's more diverse in terms of the species composition, it's more productive, it's more resistant to environmental stress, it's more resilient, and it's more beautiful.
Australian environmentalist Dr. Bob Brown said, "The future will be green or not at all." So you see, when it comes to community planning, we have a survivable choice.
Death is a health effect, yes. But we're starting to see ecosystem collapse now. We've got climate change. And one of the reasons we've got climate change is because we've cut down more than half of the forests on the planet and simplified the other landscapes. So a third of the carbon in the atmosphere comes from the plants we've removed from the planet. Look at the Southwest. It's drought after drought after drought. That's not healthy for anybody. You lose your water, the crops fail, a lot of bad things. That hurts our health.
Go native, water less, plant for the future, pay it forward. Isn't that the responsibility of community?
Yes, it is totally irresponsible to be ignoring all the things we now know. It's your personal responsibility to take care of the piece of the earth that you claim you own. Nobody has the right on just their little piece of the earth to destroy food webs, to destroy pollinators, to destroy the watershed and not sequester carbon. And I don't blame people because they were never taught that. They don't realize they have this responsibility. But it's the private landowner that's the future of conservation. That is an awesome responsibility.
To learn more about green infrastructure, visit our website, cvbiodiversitypartnership.org.
Oh, he just took sand.
Look, it's in the hole.
This video was made possible by a grant from the Pablo Foundation.